Do appreciate it. As we're getting into our fresh series, our next best of 3 this morning in the bottom right hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing T1. It is herO. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the red Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. We go. Okay, as we're getting into our PvZ. Again, there's a lot of hype around herO. herO, he did excel. Again, it was during that Thunderfire event where herO took down several 3-0, by the way, so herO's coming in shape, in form. But Rogue is a very different kind of player. Rogue, he typically does come up with his own builds, his own styles. He can be very quirky, very unorthodox, and more importantly, he can be the aggressor. I feel like herO, he is at his best. herO's at his best, and herO looks amazing when he's the one dictating the pace of the game. When he's the one kind of forcing reactions and forcing responses out of his opponents. We'll see if Rogue lets him do that, lets him get in that position. For now, Hatchcast Pool, standard opener out of Rogue. Likewise, standard opener out of herO as well, going for the gate expand. Welcome to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is one of the larger maps in the map pool. I typically do favor Protoss here on Winter Madness just because it is easier to get into the mid game. But hey, I said the same thing about Trigger in the previous series, and he was unable to defend his third base, unable to defend against the first push. So we'll see. We shall see. It's good to see you, Tabito. Good to see you. Como siempre, papi. Como siempre. Cuídate, papi. Cuídate. So now our players are just going to be opening up. And we have our take-up choice, going to be a Stargate opener out of herO. Now, this is an interesting setup here. The opener is standard, but if you look at the placement of the pylon, it is further back behind the mineral line. This is typically an indication that something weird is going to happen here. We could go for an Oracle opener into a second Oracle and bank them up in the main base. We could go for a Void Ray, hunt down the Overlord, deny vision, and then go for a Fleet Beacon into a Tempest Rush. We could see a Carrier Rush. We could see Mass Void Ray as well. Or we could even see a faster Twilight Council after the Void Ray. But again, typically the pylon isn't thrown down back here unless we mean to hide something further. Technically, it could just be mind games. But yeah, there it is, Void Ray. So again, it was at least in my mind clear that it was going to be a Void Ray because of the placement. So the goal here is to hunt down the Overlord to keep Rogue in the dark. And then the follow-up. Will it be a Fleet Beacon, a Twilight Council, or a second Stargate? So now Rogue is keeping up with the adepts. It's keeping up, still droning, still saturating. The Overlord does pull back to hide. Void Ray has arrived, hunting down the Overlord. And so far, Rogue's Overlord is safe. It's here on the right-hand side. herO is searching. Behind this, herO is going for an Oracle after the Void Ray. Interesting. Because it was a Void Ray first, this Oracle is going to be more unexpected. Void Ray does find one Overlord. Does bring it down. The Void Ray also did spot the Lings. herO setting up back at home. His adepts are in position. Oracle does swap out, and he's going for a standard follow-up here. Forge into Twilight Council. Have a standard follow-up. Assuming it's going to be blink and not charge. Oh, never. Okay, you got my attention. So +1 into charge. Now, if you remember, if you were here for the several series, you'll know that herO, he did not open up a blink, and at least until I think game 3, if at all. We saw a lot of charge-based play out of herO, and he was able to catch several with his pants down multiple times. Speaking of, Rogue is going for the early Evo chamber into +1 melee. He's setting up for a Ling Hydra, and that is where charge can excel. So Oracles poke in, they get 1, they get 2. Ooh, 2 more drones go down, 3 drones even. Nice pickups. They get 3 workers at the same time. Rogue, he's trying to be active on the map. Overlord goes in for the scouts. Now, I kind of alluded to it, but at least to speak a little bit more on it here. It is very standard in ZVP to play macro and to go into Ling Hydra and go Ling Hydra into Lurker, or Ling Hydra into eventually Ling Bane Hydra. But it is not uncommon to skip your Roach Warren, which is what's happening here, and delay your Baneling Nest. Now, without Banelings, it's going to be a very tough defense for Rogue against a heavy Zealot composition. And again, the reason why you would skip Roaches and why you would delay, if not skip Banelings entirely, is because in this matchup, a standard follow-up is Blink, not Charge. So that's why this is more unexpected. Now, I believe Rogue saw the Temple Archives. Yes, he saw the Temple Archives with the Overlord, so he should be aware. Ooh, as the Oracle is sniped. Oracle does go down. Hydras are amassing. No Baneling speed yet. Oh, and here comes herO. Yeah, here he does move out. He gets spotted by the Zergling. Rogue knows. He knows what's coming his way. Setting up back at home, morphing in Banelings. As herO moves out, Rogue moves in. Ooh, thinking about a run by. Okay, does commit. Banelings at well into the middle line as well. No reaction. Ooh, very late reaction by herO. Lings coming from behind. They force the morph into the Archon, and that's going to be 15 probes going down. Massive damage at the same time. herO, he moves in. Do we have any defensive Banelings? No. Okay, 0 defensive Banelings, but where are the Zealots? Where are the reinforcements? Where's the Warp Prism? It's not here. Yeah, no Prism, no reinforcements. herO's forced back, and again, herO will lose an entire mineral line. Ay, ay, ay. Adepts, they do get into their own mineral line. 3 drones go down, some damage is dealt, but herO's push is deflected. So Rogue, he's so far in a decent position. He's got his economy. He's building up his Ling Bane. Still no Baneling speed. Now, you could argue the Baneling speed isn't as important because you're up against charge lots, right? The Zealots are going to be coming at you anyway. But at the same time, it does limit your ability to engage. It does mean that this army is more vulnerable to Storm, and Storm is done. Like, Baneling's trying to get out of the Storm, it's not going to be possible. So here we go. herO moves out. He's got 3 High Templar, 3 Storms. There's the first. Yeah, first Storm pops off. The Banelings are very low, and there was only 3 Banelings, but here we go. 10 Banelings are now morphing in. There's 2 Storms left. Oh, waste 1. herO, we cannot be affording to waste these Storms. Down to 2, as another 4th High Templar does arrive. herO's down to 2 Storms. He's going to make them count. Oh, and once again, the one Storm was okay, but the other felt a little bit premature. And herO's out of Storms. He's out of Storms. He cannot push in. herO has to back off, and now we have the Lurker Den on the way. Now, when the Zerg player gets into Lurkers, the dynamic is going to shift. It is going to be a way for Rogue to slow down the army, to hold the line, to slow the game down. As Baneling speed only just began. This tells us that this is a mistake, right? This tells us that Rogue, he never intended for Baneling speed to be this late. He had the money for it earlier. So a big oversight for Rogue. Big oversight. As we mentioned, what does that really mean? It means that Rogue cannot pounce, right? Ideally, he would want to even try to collapse on this army and maybe even get us around, but without Baneling speed, that's not really possible. So he's stuck defensive. Nice thing run by. Rogue gets past the army. At the same time, herO's pushing in. The Archons lead the charge. And the Lings, they may even get the expansion. Oh, it's a lot of Banelings, nice storms. Once again, no Baneling speed. They do actually deviate. Nice connections. Oof. Yeah, massive connections on the Zealots. But storm does pop off. All the Banelings have gone down. No Banelings left. And here he's done it. Here he has done it. He has broken through. He still has 2 storms remaining. So storms are still available. Has plenty of Harkons. And Rogue never got to lurkers. He never got there. Lurker Den is done, but he never quite got there in the end. Hero's going to overwhelm. Get a decent storm on the Hydras. And GG gets called. GG gets called. Hero, he snowballs out of control, and he does take game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Hero takes a lead in the series. Again, Rogue had a really hard time getting into the mid game. We spoke about the lack of Baneling speed. We spoke about how because he didn't have Baneling speed for that game entirely, it meant that he couldn't actually be aggressive. He couldn't actually try to collapse on the army of Hero. Couldn't set up for that, so he was just stuck being defensive. We did take note of the fact that Rogue, if he could survive until lurkers, he could slow the game down, but he didn't get there. Lurker Den did finish, but 0 lurkers are morphed in. Without lurkers, this more high intensity army from Hero can break through. This is how he was able to bring down several. So the same thing here against Rogue as well. GG. GG, well played. As Hero does overwhelm, and with that we're getting into game 2, going to be loading into the Old Republic. Let's go. Let us go. As the series does continue, and spawning in the bottom hand corner of the Republic, we have the South Korean Zerg player. We have the Red Zerg. Oh, the Red Zerg representing Team Falcons down in the series. We'll see if we can bounce back and force the ace match. It is Rogue. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing T1. It is herO. Again, the best player in the world. He's won the most recent 2 premier events. Oh boy. And not an easy opponent to go up against. Now we might see Rogue mix things up a little bit here. It is a lot more safe as a Zerg player, where if you do find yourself up against a more zealot heavy composition, to get a safety Roach Warren, and to get into a Roach based composition instead of Ling Bane. Again, we did mention it at the start of the last game, but just to re-emphasize, the biggest weakness of Ling Bane Hydra is how fragile the army is. It's a very, very fragile, very low HP army, and Storms and Archons and Zealots can just have their way with that kind of composition. That's typically why if you find yourself against a more zealot heavy composition, it is safer to go into roaches instead, but that's only if you feel like you're in danger, or if you feel like your opponent is not playing Blink. The problem is that Blink is standard, so it's common for players to skip their Roach Warren just to be efficient. It is technically inefficient to throw down a Roach Warren, but it can keep you safe. So now loading into the Old Republic, another one of these larger maps in the map pool. Larger map, longer rush distance by ground. And we'll see how our players do shake things up. Bearing in mind that last game, herO did hide his Stargate, going for a Void Ray first. So we'll see if he does that again. We'll see. I mean, this time, my apologies, the pylon is a little bit more out in the open. Pylon is more cavalier, so the likelihood of this being a Void Ray is much lower, as we're not hiding the tech. So Stargate should be an Oracle. Should be the Oracle. So here it is, changing up his opener. Staying alive is more efficient than being dead. Ah, smurge, baby, smurge. True, but that's like saying every Terran should open up double gas against Protoss because it's quote-unquote safer, right? Like, there's safe ways of playing, but typically you wanna cut those corners. You wanna go single gas as Terran against in TVP. As you wanna open up hatch gas pool. As Protoss, you wanna get into your third base. Oh, meanwhile, my apologies. herO does open up Void Ray. Okay. I assume because the Stargate was more out in the open that it would be an Oracle first, but no, it is once again the Void Ray. Now, the Overlord is here outside of the natural. You can see that the Void Ray is rallied here. Oh, where we rallied? Rallied across the map and may come across the initial Overlord. May come across both. So Void Ray does move out. herO does spot the initial Overlord. And we'll bring it down. So far, the follow-up is the same, going for the Oracle, going for his third base. This should lead into a Twilight Council Forge, into charge and +1, if this is the same build. Ooh, meanwhile, Evo Chamber first out of Rogue. This tells us he wants to go into +1 melee. He wants to go into Ling Hydra again. So we're getting signs here. We're getting glimpses of what Rogue wants to take up into. There's that follow-up. And this is looking eerily similar to game 1, and I am concerned. The Oracle does confirm the Evo Chamber. Here should be feeling good about this. Should be feeling good. Oh, Rogue, he goes for the lair. No upgrade. Okay, I like this. So Rogue does adjust. Rogue, he went for the Evo Chamber for the early upgrade. He then chose to not get the upgrade, to go for the lair instead and save the Roach Warren. So Rogue, he does adjust. It does mean that this Evo Chamber was a bit of a waste because, again, he had to kind of like shift gears mid-build, but he is switching into Roaches. He should be a lot safer against a charge-based composition, assuming that it's charged, and there it is, +1 in charge. And from here, he's going to later +1 range. With the faster layer, he can go into Roach speed, that much faster as well. Now, we have one of two different routes we can go from here. Either Rogue commits into Roach Ravager and goes Roach Ravager Hydra Lurker, or he goes Roach Ravager Ling Bane. So he has two different kind of routes to go for. Ooh, two different routes to go for. Meanwhile, the initial Oracle does get sniped. Does kill 7 drones. I mean, that is a very high drone count to go down, but alas, that Oracle does have a lot of value as time goes on, with scouting, with stasis traps, with revelations. So nice pick off here by Rogue, but at least herO got some value out of it. At the same time, herO did scout the Roach Warren. He knows. So here he scouts the Roach Warren. He is fully aware. He now knows that the charge timing shouldn't be as effective. And we can see that Rogue is going not into Ling Bane, but Roach Ravager into Hydra Lurker. So Hydra Den is on the way. It's going to be a very beefy army. herO is pushing nonetheless. Zergling does scout the move out. The Rogue is taking very quickly. Uh-oh. That is a very... I mean, there was already a fast Hydra Den because we should not be making Hydras at the moment. Likewise, fast Infestation Pit. Right now, we need as much Roach Ravager as possible. So far, 7 Roaches. That should be enough, as we have 11 more Roaches on the way. Oh, one Queen gets caught. Yeah, one Queen is caught out. Lings, they come in from behind, picking up the Zealots, but so far, herO is trading well, getting top of the expansion. Shades into the mineral line. And Rogue holds. Yeah, Rogue, he does hold on. Forces back herO at the same time, but if they do get into the middle line, Rogue did pull away in time, only losing a handful of drones. 2. Yeah, only 2 drones go down, but 9 mining. And herO's not stopping. Ooh, herO, he's not stopping. He's reinforcing from across the map. He's rallying. Yeah, he's rallying. And Rogue just droned. Rogue, he just droned up. Just made workers. He has to be careful here, as herO is going into double immortal production behind this. Okay, Rogue, he does hold. He still will lose 6 drones in the process. But Rogue does hold on. And now he's taking. Now, we'll see if the greed pays off. So, if you recall, we did mention how Rogue got a very fast Infestation Bit. He got a fast Hydra Den. He is not going for upgrades. He is opting to go for an all-in. Overload speed. Overload speed is on the way. What does this tell us? German taxi. We're loading up the German taxi here. So unfortunately, this means that money was wasted. We wasted resources on the Hydrogen, wasted resources on the Infestation bits, and instead we're going for a massive all-in here off of a 3.5 base economy. As you can see, no, oh, does pull into gas once he gets revealed. Okay. Revelation on the base, but again, no drones. No drones, barely any saturation here. Overload speed is almost done. We're waiting for the Dropper Lords. We do see the hero, that one Oracle, barely live on 1 HP, getting the Revelation off. And here comes Rogue. Yeah, here comes the all-in. Rogue rallying everything across the map. He's maxed out. herO, what does he have to defend? He has 4 Immortals. Okay, 4 Immortals. He will have 1 shield battery on the low ground. Now, bearing in mind, herO does not have to defend this low ground expansion. Like, this base is not the end-all be-all. He can give it up. Here he commits. The Immortals, they do get a lot of damage done. Oh my god. Yeah, the Roaches are getting caught out. The Ravagers are out of position. Yeah, Ravagers are on their own. Very haphazardous attack here from Rogue, and he's going to lose everything. Yeah, Rogue, he came in with his Roaches first, and then with the Ravagers. His army was disjointed. Does pick up 2 Immortals, okay. Gets 2, gets 3. 3, all 4 Immortals go down. Oof. But it cost him everything. Yeah, very messy assault here from Rogue. Ay, ay, ay. Very messy. And remember, Rogue was maxed. Rogue, he was up 70 supply. He was maxed out, and now he plummets in supply. And remember, Rogue, he's not set up for a longer game. Like, remember, he chose not to get upgrades. He chose not to get a hive. He's only just now starting +2 because the all-in failed. Meanwhile, herO is working on +3. Alright, +3 is on the way. As Rogue is gearing up for wave 2. herO is going to have 4 Immortals once again, and Storm is on the way. Storm is going to be another big factor. Now, when I saw Overload speed, I assumed it was going to be Drop Lords, but it looks like he's just using the Overlords to spread creep. As you can see, the Overlords are pushing forward, spreading all the creep. Battles, he's going back to the army. One of the Immortals is getting caught out. So, nice pick up from the first Immortal. First Immortal goes down. Decent concave here as a couple of Roaches peel off in towards a third. And at the same time, here is catching reinforcements. That's a lot of Zealots going down. Roaches going for the Robos. Storms are lit. Oh god. Brutal storms. Yeah, storms are landing. In the end, the Roach Ravager is going to be forced back. Zealots are getting into the mineral line. Queens are going down. Lack of injects. Whole position in the mineral line as well. And herO defends. herO, he defends. The Robos that were kept safe. Those Roaches that were peeled off was not worth it. The Overlords are being focused down. Oh, this may even supply block Rogue. And hero's all over this. GG gets called. The all-in fails, and herO, he will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the winners match. GG. GG, well played. A very different kind of dynamic here in game 2. If you remember, Rogue did play Roaches this time, and Rogue did survive the aggression of herO. herO, he moved out with his chargelets again, he moved out with the Archons. I was concerned that maybe Rogue was droning up a little bit too much. He did lose a lot of workers in his defense. If you remember, he lost 7 drones to the Oracles, and he lost another 6 to 7 drones to the Zealot aggression as well. So he did take some damage, and Rogue, he decided that he had taken too much, and that he would follow it up with an all-in. He chose to go for the all-in. If you remember, this wasn't the initial plan. That's why Rogue had the Hydrogen, and that's why Rogue had the Infestation Pits. Remember, the initial plan looked like he wanted to go into Lurkers, but he changed that plan once he lost drones, right? Once drones were going down, then he felt like, ooh, I'm losing too much, like I need to get some damage done now. I'm not going to be able to macro out of this. And so he chose to go for the all-in. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, the execution of the all-in left much to be desired. Rogue, he pushed forward with his Roaches, and his Ravagers are still morphing in. So his army wasn't there. So it was a very, very lopsided kind of attack. Because of that, he fought with the Roaches first. The Roaches died first, and then the Ravagers arrived, and they were on their own. Right, they were on their own, so then they also went down as well. They had no buffer, they had no support. So again, it was a very messy fight there from Rogue, and with the failed initial all-in, that was kind of game. That's game then and there. GG, well played. With that, herO, he does claim the series, and now we're getting ready for our next matchup. We're going to be going for the lower bracket match. Let's go.